So our speaker today is Dr. Stephen R. Newman. He is the co-owner and administrator of Cedar Ridge Family Medicine. He is also a practicing physician for Cedar Ridge, and he is SUU's athletics team physician. So if you're counting, that is 3 full-time jobs, and there's more. He is an administrator at Griffles. He is the director of medicine at a jail, at a nursing home, at a hospice center, and he's a visiting doctor for the Paiute tribe. He coaches competitive soccer and basketball in addition to that. We are very grateful that he's made time for us today. Please welcome Dr. Stephen Newman.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me be here. I was very surprised when I was asked to speak. I was very happy, and I got a little more intimidated today when I looked over the lecture series you guys have, and you've got CIA agent who's going to be coming, and you've got a Pulitzer Prize winner coming, and then you've got me. And so I don't think I'm quite in that same category. The only saving grace is that I saw that Steve Nelson talked last week, and I figure I cannot do any worse than him. So I figure I'm okay. Steve and I have been friends for a long, long time. We used to play morning basketball against each other and beat the crap out of each other. And as small as he is, he was not nice. He was a mean SOB playing basketball. So if you have to be mean to be a real estate agent, he's fulfilled that criteria by far. So, well, we're just going to talk a little bit today about whatever you want. We can talk about medicine. We can talk about owning a business. We can talk about living in a rural town. We can talk about any of those things we want. I have 6, 7, 8 pages of stuff we can talk about, and it's mostly here for you guys. I mean, this is a class to help educate you guys. So I have a question for you before I introduce myself. How many of you guys want to own a business? Just how many? So I kind of have a perspective of here. Okay, so maybe about 40% or so. Okay, thanks. How many of you want to go into medicine? About the same. Okay, good. How many of you are looking forward to this lecture being done? And my wife up there too. Hi, Jen. That's my wife. All right, so just a little about myself. My wife and I, we lived here about 12 years. We are both from Salt Lake. We've been married about 25 years, have 4 kids. My son is a freshman here on campus, just met. He has no idea what he wants to be, so he's a typical freshman. Trying to talk him into business, so maybe we'll get him over and figure this out. For undergraduate, I went to the University of Utah for my undergraduate. I had a degree in business management with an emphasis in human resource management and a minor in chemistry and biology. For medical school, I went to the University of Utah and graduated. It's called AOA, which means in the top 10% of the class there. And then I went on and did residency in family medicine through University of Washington and Boise State, and then did another year of training of sports medicine. So why do I tell you all that? Well, first of all, it's to try and impress you, and second of all, it's just a lot of stuff to be aware of. And if you want to be a physician, that's just what you have to do. 4 years undergrad, took me 5 because I was slow. 4 years of medical school and 4 years of residency. So just know it's going to take you 12 years to get through. So the question you should ask is, well, how did I start Cedar Ridge Family Medicine? And the answer is pretty simple. So Dr. Jared Gray, he and I started the clinic. He's not with me anymore. He and I used to sit, we were in medical school together. He went to undergrad here. And we used to sit in medical school kind of in the back up over here. We used to mock everyone how stupid their questions were. And one day when we're mocking each other, he's like, hey, you want to do family medicine? Yeah. He goes, you want to move to Cedar and start a business? Sure. Okay, that was it. That's the whole story behind it. That's how we started the clinic. Now, there's probably a little more to it than that. When I was probably 14 or 13, I started a house painting company and started having people start work for me because I realized it's much easier to have people work for me than it is to actually do the work myself. And I've kept that tradition up, that it's much easier to get someone to do my job because, in essence, I'm actually kind of lazy. I don't like to work, and so the more I get people doing stuff, the better off I am. It's true. Okay. It's true. So they were talking about all the jobs that I do. And we're going to kind of take off on a little bit of tangents here. As you counted, team physician for SUU, I'm the medical director for the tribe, for the jail, medical director for hospice, medical director for what else? Nursing home, the juvenile court, the juvenile detention. So the question is why, and there's a pretty easy answer. This is what it is right there. It's pretty much just call it what it is. Call it ADHD. And you can make a choice. You can either choose medicine or choose to work, and I think I chose to work, I guess. In my experience, for those who start a small business and grow, they have to just be built just a little bit different than everyone else. Their brain has to work just a little bit different than everyone else. They have to be desired to do something just different than everyone else. I have a saying that if you want to be like everyone else, do what everyone else does. If you don't want to be like everyone else, do something different. And so that's where I think that the desire to run a business has come from. When I first started with Dr. Gray, we were not very smart, I guess we could say that. I did not get a paycheck for the first 3 years of working. And yes, my handwriting sucks, and it's because I'm a doctor, and I know that's why I type everything. So for about the first 3 years, I actually had to work, this is before I did all the other stuff, but I actually had to go back up to Idaho where I was from and work up there for about 3 years, about 7 days a week just to pay the bills. Is that right? About 3 years? So what did we learn those 3 years? A whole lot of bad stuff. What you do and what you don't do. We made a lot of mistakes. And so when you start a business or you run a business, you have to have, in my opinion, a lot of risk tolerance. You have to have a backup plan. When this fails, what are you going to do? Now, did our business fail? I don't think so. But it easily could have given up. I was talking to a police officer yesterday who I haven't seen in a couple of years, and he was donating at Griffles, which isn't health information, so I can say that. And he was telling me about, I said, so what are you doing? He's like, well, I left becoming a police officer, and I went and started this business, and then it failed, and so I'm back being a police officer. I said, okay, well, that's fine. And he's like, I really wish I could have stayed, but I like having a steady paycheck. I said, okay, well, if you like having a steady paycheck, probably starting a small business is probably not what you should start with, or at least you need to be a little more risk tolerant of it. What questions do you have to start with? This is where I like you guys kind of about 5-6 minutes into it, people kind of start zoning out. So now I'm gonna start picking on you guys a little bit before I start going into more stuff. What's a question someone has?
What were some of the biggest things that went wrong with your previous?
That is a great question. Number one, cash flow. The state bank, bless their hearts, they were so kind to us. This was back in the day when people actually used to trust each other. When we first started out, our cash flow was quite poor. We didn't really understand account receivables, aging, stuff like that. Because once again, we sat in the back row and made fun of people and said we should start a business, and we had to kind of figure stuff out our hard way. Anyway, state bank came to us and said, hey, you need $50,000? I said, yes. He said, shake my hand. I said, okay. And he handed me a check for $50,000. And so we were able to pay that back after about 6 months. But the biggest one is cash flow. Having to realize where cash is coming in, and then accounts receivable. We had one biller, and she was Dr. Gray's aunt or something like that, who really never done it, and so she didn't really know what she was doing, and so we had to kind of figure this out. And so those were the two biggest things. And then just also, and this kind of goes along with others, but just how to spend money. I love my business partner, but he didn't ever really kind of curtail his spending habits, and so he had his $1 million house, and we had our small house, an old truck. Good. What other questions? I've got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about, but I want to get you guys engaged.
If you were to do it over, what would your business plan look like for how long before you started to pay yourself?
That's a great question. So first of all, you kind of made the mistake of assuming we actually had a plan. That was probably your first assumption that was wrong. And it was sort of like, hey, we're a doctor. People show up. We just show up here, and people will just come in and just start handing us cash hand over fist, and just, that's our plan right there. And probably wasn't the best plan, but we figured it out. So the question is, would I do it all over again? The answer is yeah, I would. I have people ask me all the time, medicine's changing and it's hard. Would you be a doctor again? And I say, yeah, because I don't know what else I'd do. I mean, the only thing I'd do is probably own a McDonald's. I really want to own a McDonald's someday, but that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, I would do it all over again. I just now obviously have a lot more knowledge of what to do and what not to do. And so it'd been a lot smoother, but I would not have given up those 3 years of learning experience for anything. I mean, I learned so much in that time that affects our decisions we make every day now. So it's kind of, during that 3 years, we kind of defined who our business was, what our principles were, and what we're going to be. I'll give you, for example, we chose during this time that we figured that our employees are our most important asset we have. I know it sounds like a cliche, blah, 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 and you'll hear that all the time. But in a smaller town, there's not a big pool to choose from, right? You have kind of a smaller pool. And so when we found an employee that we really liked, we really took care of them. And so one of the things that was our goal during this time is, one is we're gonna make them feel like they're loved. In case I can't pay them next week, we're gonna make sure they know they're loved. Second of all, we wanted to make sure we always gave them the tools that they need to succeed. Most of the people who worked in our clinic, they weren't necessarily qualified, I don't know what that means, to work in our clinic. So we would just find someone we liked and we trained them. We just made them into whatever, except for a physician. We couldn't really make a physician. And so we just gave them the tools that they need to succeed. Things like you smile when you talk on the phone. You greet everyone by their name if you can. You're gonna, this is the reality of, medicine's a really weird business. When someone comes in to see me, the first thing they have is it's called their chief complaint. So all I do all day long is complaining with people who are complaining of stuff. That's what's your complaint? Why are you here? I'm waiting for somebody someday to come in and say, I really don't have any problems. I just wanted to pay the $50 and come in and see you. But no one's ever done that yet. So maybe someday they will, but I doubt it. So anyway, so people are very emotional when it comes to your health. I mean, how many of you ever been kind of not feeling well and were kind of pissy and crabby? And yeah, I mean, you are. And you come in the doctor's office and like, hey, thanks for coming in. And you owe me $50 for your copay. And they're like, well, screw you. I feel crappy. You should be paying me to be here. And like, oh no, we need your $50. You're not getting to see Dr. Newman. And so the front office staff have to learn to be tolerant. They're going to get yelled at. It's medicine. You're going to get yelled at. Just in case you're going to get yelled at. You're going to get peed on. You're going to get pooped on. Just get over it. You also have to be able to say the word vagina, penis, and sex without blushing. So once you get past that, you can be a doctor. So we were driving last night, and my kids they're pretty used to the conversation. And I was driving home last night from basketball practice and had my daughter, who's 15, and her friend in the car. And I was on the phone talking to the ER, and then the home health about getting this lady in hospice. I'm like, she'll probably die in the next day or so, and we'll just kind of keep her comfortable, blah, blah. And the friend gets out of the car, and I just realized, I'm like, it's probably not the conversation they hear every day about helping someone be comfortable while they die and getting their family, get all their stuff arranged and make sure they're pooping okay and all this stuff. And just realized that sometimes my perspective of the world gets kind of blurred there. So anyway, medicine is a weird business. Medicine is also, there's also a saying that medicine is an evil mistress. It wants more and more and more of your time. It won't give you anything back. So, that's something you have to kind of keep in mind. I have no idea where I got off on this tangent. I think it was your fault. Let's see. Other questions?
What kind of marketing did you do?
That's a great question. That is a great question, because that is one of the topics I wanted to talk about. Do you know what marketing I did? Absolutely none. Hey, I'm a doctor, come see me because I'm cool. And this comes back to knowing kind of where you're going to set up or whatever type of business, once again, stop talking about medicine. Here in Cedar, there's really we'll say there's two main clinics, Intermountain and non-Intermountain. If you don't like Intermountain, you're left with me. So it wasn't too hard. And we found that really our best, there's a lot of different marketing employees we had and things we thought about doing. We did advertise in the newspaper a little bit, and we advertised back in the old days, back in the phone book, and then we were progressive and got a website, and probably the same website now we had 10 years ago. I don't know, we haven't really changed it. But really the best marketing we have is word of mouth. If we take care of our patients, they would always tell someone else. I mean, you have a neighbor, I don't know how many of you guys have ever moved to a new town, and like, who do I go see? And you can, pull up whatever and see 4 stars, and I don't really know what that means, because who knows who's filling that crap out. But the person, your next door neighbor, hey, who do you go see? I go see Dr. Newman. Was he nice? Yeah. Was he a turd? No. Okay, I'm gonna go see him. And so how you treat your clients, your patients, is really our best marketing. We thought about a whole bunch of different plans, like around Valentine's Day, offering a come in for a vasectomy and bring a friend, get one free, stuff like that. But we never quite got that in the paper because we didn't ever figure that would be completely appropriate. But most of the things I talk about are really not appropriate anyway. So you have to kind of realize that medicine just kind of gets really kind of screwed up there a little bit. It screws your brain up a little bit. When it's common, never mind. Well, bring it back down a little bit. Okay, good question. Okay, good. What else? Right here.
Can you explain more about what you mean by risk tolerance and what that looks like? Okay,
good question. So risk tolerance. So you're starting up a new business. The question. So let me kind of ask you. I'm going to throw out about 5 or 6 questions that I want you guys to think about if you start a business, and then I'm going to come back to that. So don't let me forget because my ADHD kicks in and I forget my questions. Okay. So when I was going through this last night, when you want to think about a business, you think about what do you want to do, and you think, is it fun? Is it unique? Is it needed? What skills do you have? What do you want to be when you grow up? Who do you want to be when you grow up? And how long will it take you to be when you want to grow up? And do you want to make money? So those are the questions I was thinking through of, and I can go through the slower if you want, but those are really, if you really want to start a business, those are the questions. And so really decide, who do you want to be? What do you want to be? And unfortunately, I guess I wanted to be a doctor. So if I wanted to be a doctor, I had to make a decision. Do I want to work for somebody or do I not want to work for somebody? And I don't think I'm a very good employee. I'm not. I stayed up in Idaho for a couple years after I worked up there, and doctors who work for companies, they're an employee. I mean, they're like a coal miner. You have a certain production, you clock in, you do your job, you do production, you take care of stuff, and you go home. And I decided that's not me. I like thinking outside the box. I like thinking things are different. I like coming up with different ideas of stuff. And so that didn't work real well for that. But they paid off all my student debt, so I was good for that. So it was worth it. That was worth it. So the question is, what do you have for risk tolerance? Well, when you start up a business, I mean, you have to have a certain amount of tolerance, or are you going to fail? Or are you going to live off of going to Idaho for 3 years and driving the same 1993 Ford or Chevy truck that I still drive, that was a black titled Savage van that I still have because we didn't have any money. So when you decide, do I want to start a business, you have to decide, how much do I really, really want to start this business? So a neighbor of mine, 18-year-old kid, I was talking to him, and he really, really wanted to start a business, and he started an online clothing business, Andrew, and he worked on it for probably about, 4 weeks and then gave up on it. So I don't think he had a lot of risk tolerance in there, because I think maybe he didn't sell anything, and after 4 weeks, it's like, just bag that. Now, does that mean it was bad for him? No, I think it helped him learn some stuff, but risk tolerance means how bad do I really, really want to do this, whatever this is, in case my place is medicine, and how much am I willing to really sacrifice for it? Let me give you another example. So when I was in medical school, you usually get assigned a mentor and your first year, just to help you kind of survive and not go crazy and kill people and stuff like that. And by the way, if you're a doctor, you will kill somebody at some point. So just remember that. You will kill somebody one day. Just so you're aware. That's called risk tolerance. You will kill somebody. Usually they're trying to die, but that's a different story for a different day. So I can't remember. See, my ADHD kicks in. I'm off of there. What was I going with that? What's that? Risk tolerance. Oh, assignment. Yeah, so that's what it was. So I was assigned a general surgeon as my mentor my first year. And because I was thinking about surgery, cool, you get in there, you get dressed in green, you go in there, you cut things open, blood flying everywhere, people screaming, that sounds kind of fun. The more fun is orthopedics. You get in there, literally, I'm kidding you not, your saw and your hammer, and you're smacking away, bone chips flying everywhere. You get the special suits on so you don't get hit with bone fragments. And so I thought that'd be pretty cool. I mean, that sounds kind of fun to me. So my mentor was a general surgeon, and I was talking with him, and I said, what is it that you like about it? Are you happy you did it? And he said, well, you have to make a decision. He goes, in my residency class, he said the divorce rate was 120% in his class. He goes, he was the only one who survived of the 10 or so who didn't get divorced, and a couple of people got married, divorced, and divorced, married, and divorced again. So that's what I come back to risk tolerance, is like, how bad do you really, really want this? Is working all this worth a marriage? And she tells me no, and she has the gun and the money, so I'm going to believe her. But so risk tolerance is how bad do you really, really want to do this? And it was bad enough I wanted to be a doctor enough to do it, but not at 120% divorce rate. because I set some priorities. And priorities for me are our family, religion, work, hobbies. I have really bad hobbies. We'll talk about those later. So those were the priorities. Those were kind of the priorities that I chose. And so based upon that, deciding to become a general surgeon wasn't worth the risk tolerance for me to do that. That was a great question. Other questions?
So imagine if it wasn't just you in Intermountain and you had a lot more competition.
That's a great question.
How would you have, been the just not Intermountain option? You'd be one of 10 family medicine places.
Yeah. That is a fantastic question, and it's one that it depends on the market that you're in. I don't know how anyone advertises in downtown in rural Los Angeles. Like I have no idea. Usually what you do is, wherever your clinic is, you start advertising in stuff that's kind of closest to you. If you live here and you have to drive 45 miles to see a physician, you're most likely not going to do it. Now, it's not completely true because we have people coming from Vegas and Mesquite to see us, but that's because they don't like physicians there. So usually you start advertising stuff here. You just want to get those people who are closest because that's where you're going to do it. Second is certainly customer service. It's still word of mouth. You want to get people out. You want them to know that you're not such a turd. You actually listen to them. You don't just come in like, oh, hey, you need some more Prozac? Here you go. You need some more Percocet? Here you go. You need some Adderall? Here you go. You need your Xanax? Here you go. Okay, we'll see you next month. Make sure you pay. So you actually sit there and listen for somebody. Hey, yeah, you know what? I understand you have a problem. I don't think we can fix this right now, but let's work on something else. Oh, he cares about me. They'll come back. Okay, hopefully. And then getting out involved in the community. Depending on what you're doing and the type of physician you are. How I advertise is very different than orthopedic will advertise, which will be very different than a brain surgeon will advertise. And so getting out in the community and just not being a turd is really kind of the biggest way you get people in. And then you start having, the internet, how many hits you get, all the stuff like that for advertising, your website, how many, and then you also have to, who do I advertise to? Like if I want to advertise to you, I'm not going to advertise at Bellaterra, where the nursing home is, right? Flip side, if I want to get all the 65-year-olds into my clinic, who knows why, but if you do, I'm not going to advertise online. I'm not going to have, tied into XYZ YouTube, websites and whatever, and because it's not ever going to hit it. So you have to figure out who you want to be and then advertise towards it. It's a good question for a much longer marketing class, or whoever teaches marketing. That would be a good marketing, because there is a lot of stuff. This is, I think, an area that is definitely, here's your first business plan, is figure out how to market in a bigger city and help someone identify who they want. There's a business for you right there. I have a couple other ideas for businesses for you guys before you're done too, so good. What else?
Did you ever have points in either school or business where you felt burnt out or wanted to drop out?
Pretty much every day. So this is the future of medicine is very, very, very interesting. The recent survey shows that 40% of primary care doctors feel burned out every single day. And so what does that mean for the future? I don't know. It's a bunch of wusses. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, if you think about it, basically when you come in, I have to listen to you. I have to get through all of your emotions, and I have to make sure you actually paid, because we'll talk about money here in a minute. I have to listen to your problems. I have to kind of work through them. We have to figure out what plan to do. We have to implement the plan. We have to make sure the plan works and not kill you at the same time. And I have 6 minutes to do that. Okay, so what we should do is give everyone 6 minutes to go through, find out all their medical problems, the medications, surgeries they've had before, what their problem is, and how to fix it in 6 minutes. And then you have to make sure you document it properly. And that usually takes about an extra 4 to 5 minutes. And then if you also have to be aware that in the next room over, someone else is waiting. The next room, someone else over there is waiting, and you can hear them start, like this. You can hear the toys smashing. You can feel the anxiety build up on you. So it's a little anxiety provoking. So coming back to medicine, I want you to kind of just think about how medicine's worked, and we'll come back and talk about this in just a minute. And this is mostly for me, so my ADHD doesn't kick in. So I want you guys to imagine you're going to join a program, and it's an eating out program. and it's going to cost you, we'll say $1,000 a month to join this eating out program, okay? So you're going to join it, you're going to join it, you're going to pay $1,000 a month, okay? So we'll just go $100, we'll make it easy. $100 a month, you put the $100 a month into this plan. Now, when you guys join this plan, you can go to any restaurant you want and eat, okay? And when you get there and eat, you can eat, and the waiter and waitress have to be nice to you, and they have to give you what they want. And then when you're done, what you're going to say is, hey, thank you for the meal, I've really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to pay you. You have to go to the club and try and get money from them to see if they will actually pay you, and thanks, I'm out of here. Does that sound like a pretty good deal? Well, that's for you guys. Yeah. What about for the restaurant, who may or may not necessarily get the pay from this? Plus, what's more important is, it doesn't really matter how much it costs. The club is only going to pay a certain amount of dollars. So if your meal is $400, and the club the restaurant club feels like the meal is only worth $100, they only give the restaurant $100. But they can't go after you for the extra $300. Welcome to medicine. So you have the patients, you have the insurance company, and the physicians. And the patients pay a certain amount of money into the insurance, and then the insurance has to decide if they're going to pay the doctor for this person. So if I don't do everything right, the insurance is like, bag you. I'll give you an example. So are you guys lost? Is this interesting? You guys learn stuff? Do you want me to do like a song and dance? You guys still doing okay? Okay. So Medicare. We'll talk about Medicare. Medicare is generally for those over the age of 65. It's a government-sponsored program, which we'll talk more about in a minute. So Medicare has been the bane of my existence since I was born. I'm just kidding. Ever since I was a physician. It's hard because it's a government. You're working with the government. And in case you're asking, no, I'm not a fan of socialized medicine or a single-payer system, because I believe the free market works. So, I lose everyone on that one. Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, laissez-faire, 1776. Anyone with me on this one, or did I lose you guys? Okay, all right. So Medicare, they'll come in and I'll see them, spend 30 minutes with this person, and the Medicare is like, oh, you get $50. I'm like, good gravy, I can't live off $50. So Medicare has a rule, so I figured out the Medicare rules. So I started beating them over the head with it. Well, that only lasted about 6 months till they got wind of me, and they started flagging me. And so now we're being audited. Okay, that's fine. I haven't done anything wrong, so I don't really care. So I go through, and they look at my charts, and they say, we're not going to pay you for these 100 patients, I think, 100 patients or so. So we're taking back our money on those 100 patients, and you don't get paid for the time you put in with them. I'm like, why? Well, it's because you did not ask them. And we went through all the medical problems, their diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, what medicines they're on, blah, blah, blah. I didn't ask them if they have loose rugs in their house, or if they live in a house or an apartment. Because I didn't ask those two questions, I took all their money back. I kid you not. I'm like, how am I supposed to know that? Well, if you go to the CMS website, I said, stop. Have you ever been to the CMS website? I'm like, I have a doctorate degree and business degree. I don't even know how to get past the first page. Like, on page 400, it says you have to ask that question. Are you kidding me? So this all comes back to this question right here. Is medicine and business, you're dealing with this crap all day long. You're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with insurances who don't want to pay. What type of companies are insurance companies? For profit. How long do they stick around if they're not making a profit? Not very long. Yeah. Intermountain, not for profit. Yeah. Yeah, it's a different story for a different day. All right. I like Intermountain. I get along with them fine, but anyway, we're back here. So I told you, ADHD. So back to Medicare, where we were, somewhere over here. I think I answered your question, right? Okay. Well, let's go talk about costs. I'm usually not quite this ADHD. I'm just trying to be a little more entertaining for you guys. So here we come for a visit. I have 35 employees who work for me. Last year, my payroll, I think, was 1.1 million, I think, last year. I just tell them I'm not going to pay them for 1 year. I'm going to steal it and embezzle. I spelled million wrong. I don't care. So I have 35 employees. Work full time. Spend about 1.1 million in salary, and they all get paid before I do. I'm the very last one to take a paycheck. If there's any profit sharing left over, that's fine. So back to costs. So So a patient comes in, and we'll say a level 3 patient, which we may or may not have time to talk about that. So this is the reality of medicine, okay? So they come in, we'll say the level 4, we'll just say that. So they come in, and I'm gonna send a bill to the insurance for $165. Okay, it's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of money for me. I mean, $5 is a lot of money to me. I don't eat out because $5 is too much money for me. I don't eat out because I don't like to spend money. So I bill $165. Guess on how much on average that insurance company will pay me for that bill of $165 I send to them? Half, that's pretty close, about $105. So they'll pay me probably on average about $105 for a level 3 a visit. Okay, so what's my cost associated with that visit? You're like, what do you mean? So what do you think my cost is associated for, and we track this, how much does it cost me per visit, including fixed and variable costs? Ooh, those are big words for you guys, huh? Everyone fixed variable costs? You guys get those? Okay. How much do you think my cost per patient to come in is to come in? It's okay. It's about $65 to $68. We'll say $65. So every visit that comes in, there's a profit of about $40. Like, that's still a lot of money. Well, that doesn't include some of the other costs, but that's just kind of rough. So if I come in and say, if you come in and let's say that you're painting my house and you say that'll be $1,000. I'm like, all right, here's $700. Thanks for your time. We'll see you later. Well, can we negotiate? No, I'm just giving you $700. Thanks for your time. We'll see you. Well, what do you mean? I'm only going to do $700 worth of job. I'm like, well, no, you have to do the whole $165 job. I'm just going to pay you $105. Medicine really isn't that bad, so don't panic too much. It's really not that bad. So with this, that's our profit. So let's say we go along, and how many of you guys have ever not shown up for a doctor's appointment? It's okay. You can raise your hand. It's okay. That's all right. You can say your hand. I won't yell at you. I won't throw my pen at you. So we go through and figure out each spot during the day. We have people, we're assigned to them, and you don't show up. How much did that spot still cost me? $65. So if we have a 5% no-show rate, we're losing money every time someone comes in. All right? So that's why no-shows are such a big deal. How many of you guys now, if you make a doctor's appointment, get like a phone call, a text, paper dropped off at your house, the police show up at your door to make sure you're going to show up for the visit? Well, now you know why. Is each spot you don't fill is costing that company $65 just to fill that spot that stays open. Does that make sense? Medicine, business, and money don't always make sense. It's a little kind of weird, but it's fun. I have to check my notes. What else I want to talk about? Okay, next question while I'm thinking.
How have you, owning a private clinic, been able to keep up with the Medicare changes?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, great question. Thank you. That in it lies the next part that we need to talk about. Keeping up. Thank you. Way to stage. I'll give you $10 afterwards. That was a great question. Okay. Medicine is changing. We're talking about the business of medicine now. Once again, we're talking about the business of medicine. What percentage of, we're just going to talk about primary care doctors. We're not going to get into specialists. We're not going to get into all the other stuff. That gets a lot more complex. For right now, what percentage of physicians do you think own the clinic that they work in? 10%. Okay. It's not a bad number. Good. What else? Any ideas? Okay, 10%. It's not a bad number. Let's see. It's about 19%. Yeah, it's about 19% of doctors own their own business. Why is it so? Let me back up. I really sound like death and gloom over here. I actually love owning my own business. I love it. I don't starve. Okay, I'm not rich, but I don't starve. So as we talk about this, you're like, oh, you're painting the worst picture. No, I'm going to finish up on the positive sides of this. Okay, so you guys are like, oh, I never want to own my own business. I never want to be a doctor. No, that's actually not completely it. I just want you to understand that it's not easy. You asked the question, what's your risk tolerance? Well, you have to figure it out. What did Ryan Smith at Qualtrics, how much risk tolerance did he have before he sold his company for $8 billion a couple weeks ago? Dude, that guy's my hero. He gets to sit at the front of the Jazz games every game, and he has $8 billion in his pocket. Dude, I want to be him when I grow up. So. He hangs out, makes commercials with Donovan Mitchell. Probably has him on speed dial. Probably has him over for Sunday dinner. I don't know. But anyway, $8 billion, you have a lot of friends. Anyway, so keeping up. Medicine is constantly changing. There's nothing that, this is going to come in with your question, this one's, I'm going to tie some of this together. I think the reason that only 19% of physicians now own their own business is because it's complex. You have to keep up with tax rules, you have to keep up with payroll, you have to keep up with all this other stuff. In addition to it, medicine is changing on a daily basis. I mean, what we say is, in 50% of what we know in medicine is true, we just don't know which 50% it is. So medicine keeps changing. You know, what was right now isn't the same as it was before, which was different was before. I'll give you an example for blood pressure. You know, blood pressure, how we manage blood pressure is on this pendulum. You know, 10 years ago, everyone should be as low as possible. Well, now 5 years later, no, don't be as low as possible because people are falling and breaking their hips. Well, now we're back over to here. Everyone's blood pressure should be as low as possible. A couple of years from now, no, let it go back up because people break hips. People just don't have good institutional memory of what's happening. Point of this is the only reason only 19% of people own it is because Medicare, because it's so complex. You have to keep it just with medicine. I mean, medicine, there's journals that come out every day. We all do this, sitting in the bathroom reading on our phone, or we're reading, liver disease, how do we treat this? What's the latest for hepatitis C? Is that what you guys read when you're sitting in the bathroom too? Or is it just me? Rheumatoid arthritis, anyone? Nothing? Okay, maybe that's just me. So you're having to keep up on a constant basis, and then you try and keep up a business, employees to turnover, stuff like that. It's difficult, but I love it. I wouldn't want to do anything else. So there's a trend in medicine now where it used to be where, hey, it was really, really profitable to own your own business. That $40 left over, you get enough people in, you can make some decent money. You own your own building, charge yourself rent. It's now coming through as capital gains tax as opposed to ordinary income. Anyone? We good with that too? Okay. Losing anyone? Okay. Thank Trump for that one. Whether you like him or not, thank him for the capital gains tax change. Whether you like him or not, that's not the story. Just be grateful for capital gains tax changes. That's all I have to say. And it used to be, now what happens is because it's so complex and doctors just want to deal with it, they sell their businesses to a hospital, and the hospital owns them and employs them. Okay. So let's ask the question, why would a hospital want to own a physician? So they come in, physician comes in, and you work for a hospital. So okay, we'll talk about that for a second. So you work for yourself, and you're working 100 hours a week. You're making decent money, right? Hospital comes in and says, hey, your practice is really profitable. I want to buy your practice, which doesn't really happen. They just more acquire it. What happens, they say, okay, we're going to pay you a certain amount of money. What happens to that doctor's productivity when they get employed by a hospital? Yeah, why? You're 100% correct. Why?
It's not their baby anymore.
Yes, 100%. Yep. Yeah. It's his problem. It's not my problem. Before, everything that happens now, at the end of the day, ends with me. So I work 70 hours a week. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I want people to be happy. I want them to not die. I want them to come back again. I want them to pay their bills. My wife likes to eat. She likes to go cruise it. I don't know. Okay. Just kidding. She's flipping me off. Just ignore her for a minute right now. Yeah, so what happens, they lose that motivation to make money because they're no longer employed by themselves. Okay. So now we come along a hospital, where do I put hospital? They now employ a primary care doctor. Hospitals lose money with owning physicians. I don't know if you guys know that. It's not profitable for a hospital to employ physicians. So why do they employ physicians? Any ideas? Bueller? They have to. Okay, it's a good thought. They have to. Can you explain a little bit more?
Well, you have to have someone take care of the patient.
Yeah, you have to have somebody take care of the patients. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have a hospital, you want people coming in. Right, good. I mean, take that concept and expand it here in just 1 second.
So IHC tries to kind of monopolize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Capture the whole market. So you can't really go to anyone else because they won't accept tests from other doctors if it wasn't their doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that one's also a very complex answer for which there's antitrust laws and stuff like that, which we won't get into today. And you're kind of along those lines, correct? But I'm gonna kind of take these two concepts a little bit better. Here's a question, you won't know the answer. How much did I, Stephen Newman, order in radiology last year, in radiology only, how much did I order last year in radiology for Intermountain?
$700,000.
That's how much tests I ordered. And I'm not excessive ordering. I mean, I order a lot because I do sports med, put some people back together when they're broken. But I ordered about $2 million last of radiology. Okay, now what happens if you employ 10 physicians? How much are they going to charge and get in radiology? 20 million? That's not really chump change. Labs, I don't know how much I ordered in labs. I would guess it's probably somewhere at least 1.5 million in labs last year. You take that by 10, 15, 20 physicians, it adds up pretty quickly. This, you guys ready for the next business term? Owning a clinic is kind of a loss leader, for lack of a better term. They're going to lose money on them because they know they're going to make it up from taking care of patients in the hospital, for kind of owning the market, be able to control costs. But still, these physicians, they generate a lot of revenue. So as a family practice doctor not employed by Intermountain, what do I get out of this? It's illegal for me to get that. Stark 1, Stark 2 laws. So I cannot get a kickback for ordering these things. It's do not pass jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200, straight to jail, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines. So why would I not want to be employed by Intermountain? Well, because I like owning my own business. I like to be able to take time off. I like to be able to support my hobbies. I like to support my habits. I like to be in charge. I didn't realize, my wife did, but I didn't realize until probably about 10 years ago that I kind of like to be in charge. Not of our house. I have no control over our house. But everything besides my house, I'm in charge. And I like that, being in charge. And if I were to be employed by somebody, who we talked about over here, my productivity would probably tank because I don't have that drive, that desire to make money because I'm no longer in charge anymore. Good, how we doing? We're running out of time. There's only 6 minutes left. You guys only have to listen to me for about 6 more minutes and you get to go eat or do something else or go play in snow or something like that. I don't know. Other questions? 1, 2, 1, 2. Go ahead.
In order to be in a position like you're in, do you have to be a doctor? Are there people out there that don't have any
It's a great question.
medical training?
That is a great question. What did I say one of my first things to do is you want to employ somebody, right? So do you have to be a doctor to own a physician? No. You just have to be able to finagle enough people to work for you to do it. Now, if you come along and you're 21, say, hey, I want to start a business and I want to start medicine, and are you going to get anyone to work for you? Probably not. If you have a track record, so there's a I won't go down the story. So the answer is yeah, you don't have to be a physician to own medical group. In fact, some are not. Some of the best ones though are started by physicians because they have the business knowledge, they have the medicine knowledge, they have all this kind of knowledge that put together, so they're more successful. But you don't have to have that. Anyone can start any business anytime. You just have to be able to know the business of how to get certified with insurances, how to collect money, how to keep physicians happy, how to keep them motivated, so it's just basically a random business. But the answer to your question is no. There's actually, I'll just tell a story. There's a PA down in St. George who owns a clinic down there. He bought it from a physician, and he's a nurse practitioner, sorry. And he owns it and he runs it, and he's now looking to hire some physicians to work under him. Now it's a little different because he's a nurse practitioner, but he's not a physician, and he's taken his clinic over, and it's doing quite well.
Do physicians make more working for a hospital or by themselves?
That's a great question. I know what my instinct tells me is that if you run a good business, you'll make more than working for a hospital. But that goes back to that, once again, I'm a big fan of government, small government get out of the way, let the business run its course, let business fight for it. Ethics, whole different story for a different day. But I think that anyone who has a chance to, in the free market enterprise system, has a chance to run business will make more money than that. Because Intermountain they have to follow rules. So the advantage I have of my clinic, if I want to change something, I change it with that day. Hey, I don't like where we're going with this, we're going to change it. We're going to fix this stuff, and we'll stop and change it, and we'll fix it by tomorrow. Intermountain is like change. It's like turning a cruise ship around. They gotta go through 14 committees, 14 lawyers, then report it back here, and then go back here, and then vote on it here, and then sleep on it, and then it's a big company. I mean, they're a big cruise ship. We're more like a speedboat. We can also get run over too, though. Good. What else? Other questions? So I kind of want to summarize this. Do I love owning my own business? Yes, I do. I love it. Is it hard? Yes. Do I work 60 hours a week? Yes. Do I 70 hours a week? Do I love it? Yes. Would I do anything different? No. But that's my personality. When I was 15, I had people working for me. I have very rarely worked for somebody. I am built just different. Those who own most small businesses are built different. I have a trait, a skill, medicine, that I can now apply to a business and make decent money. I mean, we don't starve. We're not rich, but we don't starve. Is this sustainable? Yes, I think it is sustainable. My job, my business is sustainable across time. As long as everyone needs a doctor, I'm going to have a job. You know, doctors are really bad, really bad at, I call it marketing, not this marketing. So if Coca-Cola were to come on TV and say, hey, you really shouldn't drink us because you might get kidney stones and maybe it leaches some of the calcium out of your blood, maybe you might get osteoporosis, how many are going to drink Coke? Well, so doctors, what do we do all day long? We do whatever we can to keep people out of the doctor's office. Don't smoke, exercise, lose weight, get some sleep at night. If we were really smart, we'd be saying, you should be smoking a 6-pack a day, you should be drinking a 6-pack a day, you should never exercise, then you'll be in my office all day long and then I'll make money, right? We have this backwards, isn't it, right? I mean, but once again, knowing that that's kind of the way that medicine is that's not the way that we market. Hey, can we help you get healthier so you can have a good quality of life? Medicine's fun. I would not change it for anything. I'm grateful to it. 13 years of schooling was a long time, but you get through it, right? You get through the first 4 years. I think actually undergraduate was much harder. Once you get after undergrad, you get into medical school, they want you there. They do what they can to keep you there. They support you. You get in residency, you actually make a little bit of money, whole $40,000 a year for working 80 hours a week. It's pretty good. You do that for 4 years, then you actually can start making some money. You come out in debt with the same amount as a house. You know, you come out $150,000, $200,000 in debt, but you make it up. Okay, what have I missed? One thing that I missed that you want me to touch on in the last couple minutes.
I want to know how you handled the loose rug situation.
So, once I got being pissed about it and got through it. So what we had to do is we basically negotiated like, all right, well, you tell me all the things I'm not doing right. You go through and you tell me, you audit my charts, since you're already taking the money back, you might as well just continue to look at them. Tell me what's wrong, and then we'll fix them. You come back in 6 months, you look at my charts, and if they're fixed, you owe me that money back. They said, okay. Surprised the heck that they said yes, but they did. So we'll see. They'll just find something else wrong, though. I mean, it's like trying to hold back the ocean. I mean, you hold back a little bit, something's just going to go around you. It's just impossible to handle that much. But yeah, so we said, all right, well, you tell us what you want. You give me a paper copy of everything so I can hold you guys to it and you can hold me to it. And then we implement those changes and we'll see in about 3 months. Adapt and adjust. Speedboat versus cruise ship. Other questions in the last 30 seconds? Yes?
What are your hobbies?
Oh, thank you for asking. Oh, my favorite things. So my mom tells me, first of all, my mom told me, said, hey, you're not very smart. I hope you learn to work hard if you want to be successful in life. That was what I grew up with, my mom telling me that. It's true. So I have a brother who's a lawyer, a sister who's a nurse, a sister who's the smartest one. She married a lawyer, and then a brother who owns a company. So I was the dumb one, I guess. So my hobbies are coaching. I coach, and I coach, and I coach. I'm the Canyon View High School girls head soccer coach. I coach high school girls soccer. I have 4 competitive soccer teams I coach. I run the junior high basketball for Canyon View Middle School. My mom always tells me that I just basically work so I can coach, because coaching doesn't make any money. So I work and then I coach. And that's why, so my job, because I own it, I'll work from 7 to 8. I'll start about 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in that area, and I'll work straight through, and then I'm done about 2. Well, yeah. And then I go and do kind of other stuff like my nursing home visits until about 3:30. Then I coach from like 3:30 till about 8, 9. And then I'll come home, beat up the kids for 2 hours, wrestle with the dogs, do the dishes. Then about 11 o'clock, I'll turn the jazz game on and do charts till about 12 or 12:30. And then I'll fall asleep on the couch till about 1, and then I'll wake up and do it again. Just have to decide how much risk tolerance you want and how much you really want in this business.
There are a lot of nice reasons to live in, there are a lot of reasons that Cedar City is a nice place to live and raise a family and to go to school, and this is one big reason. So in gratitude to Dr. Newman, we would like to present him with the Cedar Award.
Wow. Thank you. I'm sure all of you guys helped build this, and I'm very grateful for that. But
Great.